Hey there, in today's video, I am just showing you a very simple idea, suggestion, something to try, something that you've heard of probably by many different artists. It is doing a contour sketch, just a continuous line contour sketch, which just means not lifting up your pencil, or in my case, the Stabilo Mark-Sol that I used, or charcoal, or whatever you happen to be using, pen, whatever. Now, I always have been not a fan of the contour sketch. For years, I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what it's about. I don't get why you would do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't look good at the end. You have this drawing that you don't even like. But what I've come to realize in it more and more is, sure, you can work very hard and learn all the skills to paint something replicating what you see. But it takes a lot more intuition maybe to make something expressive. So to free yourself up, so to speak, and to become looser and to make something more abstract, which is what I like, that's actually harder in my opinion, because it's like, the goal is to make it look like what it is, but then how do you back off and make something abstract that exact image? Or whatever you're trying to represent. Now, of course, in abstract art, it doesn't always have to represent something. Mostly it doesn't. A lot of times it's just a color or whatever it happens to be, a feeling that you're expressing. But I like to often, particularly with portraits, have them look more than just like a reference photo that I'm using. I like it to have some kind of expressive element to it that is kind of either draws you in or makes you think, or at some level has you relate to that. And what I found is that by doing a contour sketch, particularly one, now this isn't a blind. Blind is where you don't look at it at all and you do it without looking. This is looking kind of back and forth, but doing it in a very short time frame, so you don't have a lot of time to think about it. You're just making the motions and making movements. And what I found is it loosens you up. It makes you feel better about sketching in general. At least it does for me, because I don't like sketching or drawing or anything like that. And that's not a good mindset to have, right? We need to like embrace all parts of art, not just the parts that we like. And I have this aversion to drawing because I think I'm not good at it. And I'm not, because I haven't worked at it. But I like certain aspects of drawing, and this contour sketch is one of them, which is there's no one's judging me. It's not supposed to look great after it's over, but it does loosen me up and helps me be a little bit more expressive. And what I found is by doing it repeatedly, I often have found, and I sometimes have to force myself to do it in a different way, or change up how I'm doing the contour sketch, because of that tendency is to kind of do it the same way over and over again. Obviously, if you're doing it based on a different image or reference photo, or a bowl of paintbrushes or whatever, then it will change. But I feel like it really has helped me observe and then put it down, even when the end result isn't like some kind of beautiful finished thing. It has changed me, and I guess that's why I want to share it, because for so many years I just didn't not understand it. And I would never have encouraged anybody to do it. It's like, what the heck? But now I feel like it's very foundational to warming up. It can be it can be helpful in loosening up. It can just be helpful in abstracting, if that is something that you're interested in. So I know I'm blathering on, but I really want to just encourage you to give it a try. I thought I was going to do 2 minute, only one of them ends up being a 2 minute. 1 minute is plenty, but I show you a couple different ways that I incorporate this into my art practice, and I hope you will give it a try. So without further ado, let's get started. To get started, I kind of want to show you what I've been doing with the contour sketch. And I've been trying to do like a continuous line. I'm not doing it blindly. I'm trying not to lift my pencil, or in this case, I'm using a Stabilo All. So you can see that it's a very loose and expressive. These are obviously portraits. I've also worked on just random pieces of book paper, a quick contour sketch of some dried flowers in a kind of a jar type thing. This was like a pottery teapot, kind of funky. I didn't capture any of these really that well. And these were actually some bottles of paint, if you can believe it. So again, I just find that working like this helps me to become a little bit looser, a little bit more expressive, and to kind of overcome what I like to think of as my fear of drawing, but it's probably more my dislike of drawing. This captures something for me that I like. It's quick, it's spontaneous, it doesn't have to be absolutely correct proportions, but it captures an essence. And I think in general, that's what I'm looking for in my art. So I wanted to show you that I'm going to do today examples of portraits, faces, but you can do anything. You can pull out some jars. And last summer, I think it was, I did some sketches of like some jars, old vintage jars that I had. I like doing something like that. It feels simple to me, it feels easy, and it feels accessible. But again, you can just choose anything around your house that you want to do a quick sketch of, and no one has to see it. I like to work in an art journal because then it's there, and then I can look back at it. These pieces of paper, I tend to like, what do I do with them? Sometimes I'll glue them into an art journal. Sometimes they just become collage paper, and that's okay too. So anyway, what I want to tell you is just use whatever you have. And I have this simple little timer that I got, I think I got from Amazon to, obviously, to time myself, because what happens a lot of times is we think we know what a minute looks like or 5 minutes, but we really don't. And it's kind of shocking how fast that time goes. And I'm going to work today with this Stabilo All, but I would also recommend just a regular old pencil, also charcoal. I like something that moves around. So I tend to spray my page with some water in random spots, and you can see the areas where the water kind of creates a different effect. And that I like as well, unexpected things. So grab an art journal or some old book paper. Again, just random book paper would be fine. You may want to put a coat of clear gesso on it if you're using this, but again, maybe not. Just work with what you have. Also, a lot of times, I talk about this a lot, but I don't let, no paint goes to waste. No paint is ever just stuck straight in from a paintbrush into a pot of water. I just wipe down all my paintbrushes on pieces of paper or in my art journal as a background. These are also really great ways to start a contour sketch because you already kind of have this background, and it just allows for a kind of, you already have something, and it doesn't really matter how it turns out, but it can be very unexpected as well. On these two pages here, I actually just had a very, looks like, I think it was already like this, and so I just worked on top of it, like a white paint maybe, or maybe white gesso. It doesn't have the grit of gesso, but anyway, you can use, I could have worked straight on to it, but sometimes it's nice so that you have something, on top, you're working on top of something is what I'm trying to spit out. Also, I've mentioned this before, but I keep a box of printed faces because I like to practice faces, and I like all different kinds of faces. I print them out in black and white because I'm not interested in the color of her shirt and her hair and whatever. I'm more interested in seeing where is it light, where is it dark. I'm not doing a painting today, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to be working off the shape. But I just wanted to tell you, when I work, I typically will grab one of these and do something like when I do this sketch, because I could use my imagination, and you probably should, but I work better when I'm looking at something, and then it takes away the pressure of whatever it is that I'm working on the page, in terms of, particularly with this activity where I'm working very quickly. So these, I want to say, I wrote 2-minute contour, but honestly, I was done in about 1:30, and I had already written what I was doing, and I was like, I didn't need 2 minutes. In fact, 2 minutes was too much time. So today I'm just going to do a minute because I feel like you kind of get the gist of it, and then you will work quickly, because at 2 minutes or 1:30, I was like, now what do I add? Because I work so fast, I got the gist, but I don't need more. That's all these are. They're just very simple exercises, and they're great for warming up. And they're just great. I don't know. I just really love them. And I even love these ones over here, just really simple, because it gets me over my hang up with drawing. And for me, this really has been very helpful. So, okay, I'm gonna work, this is about as small as I ever work. This is a vintage book that I turn into an art journal, and I have a page mark that I am gonna work on for this. This is fairly small for me. It's about 5.5 by 8 or 5.5 by 8.5 or something like that. I like to work larger. Tiny things make me ew, it's just too precious, and these tiny paintbrushes and all that. So if that's you, you go for it and do small, you know, you could do very small, these very small sketches. This is gonna be the smallest one, and then I'm gonna show another thing in a larger art journal. So we're gonna get started. I'm going to work on this with my Stabilo, and I'm gonna pick up image, set it off to the side, and then we'll get started. Although I like to work standing up, particularly when I'm filming, because it feels very awkward to sit because I'm worried I'm gonna get my head in the camera. But today I'm gonna sit down and do this. We'll see how that goes. It's a different angle for me. I have a photo over there. I'm gonna spray some spots on here. And this looks like this is paint, so it may not adhere quite as well. I'm gonna get one more spray. I have my timer set to 1 minute, and I don't know if I'm gonna talk because I'm gonna... Okay, I think I sprayed a little bit too much water on. That's okay, it's very wet. I had to stand up. I could not do it sitting down. So as I got started, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to stand up. So that just tells you right there, like we all have different things. Like you may be able to work sitting down. I clearly cannot work sitting down. I want to, make this a little bit darker. So this was one of those situations where I think I maybe sprayed too much water, but I think that's okay. You just don't know what you're gonna get. And then I need to work standing up. So we're gonna do one more over here, and then I'm gonna show you another thing. So this is, again, you don't know how it's gonna turn out, and then once this dries, it will be kind of fun to see because there'll be some lights and darks and different things like that. So we'll get ready for the next one. For this side, I'm actually have a image of a person with hands on her face, so this could be real scary, but hey, let's give it a try. So I've got my timer ready to go, and I can see my image. I'm just trying to get myself set up so I don't, like last time, kind of mess around a little bit. And of course, it's always nerve-wracking getting started on camera, but when you're doing this by yourself, seriously, just go for it and set your timer, and who cares? At the end, just let it go. And if you want to keep working on it, then that's okay too. But it's kind of a fun exercise in just seeing how quickly you can do something. So, okay, ready, set, go. Okay, I got a little hung up on the fingers. I wasn't working as quickly as I should have, but this is another example of where probably another 30 seconds would have really helped me. So I think what I'm gonna do is give myself, I'm just gonna see what it takes to kind of do a little bit more on one that was a little bit more complicated. So I'm gonna set my timer for a minute. Hopefully I just spend another 30 seconds, but a 2-minute contour, and I'm gonna put this here, that's okay too. 1 minute. And I will make this one a 2-minute because I think I'd like to do a little bit more on it. So here's the thing, you get to set your own rules. So let's get started. That wasn't quite 30, but I think that helped. To me, it feels like it's a little more finished and a little bit more what I wanted. So if you use a more complicated image, definitely give yourself maybe an extra minute or so. So, and this one's running, and I'm okay. I think it's kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. So I'm gonna set it off to the side and let these dry. And like I said, I think I sprayed them a little bit more than I did before, but I just think that's part of it. You get to decide. You could decide how long you want to work on it, and then if you want to continue and just see how things go. So I'm going to show you one more thing. Another fun way that I like to do a contour sketch is to use a white oil pastel. So when you're working on something and you can't really see it. So then I worked on top of a plain piece of paper, book paper. I could kind of tell what I was doing, but not really. It wasn't totally blind. I could see what I was watching my hand. But then I went over it with a blue wash, and then the image or the face showed up. I did the same thing. These were each 1 minute. And this is a thicker tip, so your lines are gonna be thicker, it's gonna be chunkier, and then I went over this with more of a, I don't know if it was raw umber or something like that. So super fun, another super fun way to kind of loosen up, to become more expressive, to just use your marks and your lines and to see what happens. So I'm gonna show you how I do that. I have a art journal page that's very kind of subtle, and I kind of like the effect, I'm gonna bring that one back. I like the effect of this. So there was a piece of paper glued here, and I liked that effect. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna find a page that has some weird random papers on it because I think it will give a cool effect when I do the wash. So I think I'm gonna use that same image I did just a minute ago with the fingers because I feel like it's kind of complicated, and I'm gonna try to do it in a 1 minute. If I end up doing it 2 minutes, that's fine. And then I'll probably do a simpler one for the other side. Then I'll do a wash over the top, and we will let the people emerge. Okay, wow, I'm not so sure about this, but here's what happened. I needed to take this paper off of here. I think it might have even broke my, anyway, I wasn't able to use all of it. So again, that was 1 minute, no judging, right? So I'm going to find another photo or image and then do this other side, and then we'll do the wash. Okay, this one I felt like maybe I had almost too much time. I think because I started getting the proportions off, then there's no way really to correct it. And I think that's the beauty of this. It's like, this is just an exercise in speed, looking and trying to kind of put down what you see without actually really being able to see it. I think you can kind of slightly see it on camera, but now the magic will happen, and I will put a wash. I think I'll probably do something like a raw umber, or I don't know. Yeah, probably raw umber. That's my favorite. So, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to use raw umber fluid, and then I'm going to add some water to it. I have a spray bottle over here, but you could use any color. So like if your favorite color is teal, or you know, burnt umber, or a different raw sienna, you know, whatever. I'm saying all my favorite colors. If your favorite colors are my favorite colors, then use those. Well, okay, that's silly. So, and I'm going to grab a paper towel because I don't know. I'm going to decide whether I want to wipe it off or not. So, because every paper reacts differently. I haven't worked on top of this particular thing. So, you know, like sometimes you need to wipe it off. So, okay. Let's just, I know it looks kind of scary, doesn't it? But I'm telling you that wax will resist it from the oil pastel. My oil pastel, I really went all the way up there, so. Okay. So I may dab this up just a bit. Feels like there's a lot right here, and I may not have got it runny enough. But this has a pattern in it, which I don't really like, so let's see, maybe I can water it down a little bit. It will dry, and you saw the other one, it will dry and not have, so you know, you don't have to fiddle with it like I am, but I kind of wanted to show you, and maybe I should have used a lighter color. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's dry, so you can get the idea of it. But obviously, this one, I obviously watered down quite a bit more so you can see it. That was maybe a mistake in using the darker raw umber, even though that's what I like. So maybe I used a lighter brown, or I had mixed it with something. I can't really remember. So anyway, this this looks pretty bad right now, but we'll see once it dries, and I will show it to you then. All right, this one, it did end up indeed a little bit on the darker side. So, you know, you may want to play with that. But again, once it dried, you can see all the white of the oil pastel. So, and some of the book text came through, and I think there's some interesting texture going on underneath. Again, this is just an exercise in loosening up and trying to be more expressive, not trying to get an exact replica or image of what you're doing, or what, you know, the reference photo was. So again, if this is something you're interested in, I would give it a try. And obviously this you could just do over and over again. You could probably do 10 of these in an hour, more than that, if you know, just work quickly, and because it doesn't really matter the outcome. It's more like it gets you in motion and it gets you expressing. So the other two did kind of dry. I think they're still a little bit damp. The ink is kind of still running. This kind of smeared down over here. But again, you know, not so sure on camera I would have tried something with a hand, which is a little more complicated. But I think that the idea is to just follow the lines, you know, be a little bit expressive, observe the big details, not get caught up in this and that. And it does, I feel like it gives you something that you can't get just when you're working very hard and making something very precious you know, if you're following like a reference photo. So for me, I'm going to continue to do more of these, because I feel like my heart is wanting to be more expressive, not less, to be less representational, not more. So I want to get the essence of something, but without all the details not getting hung up in it. And that's kind of hard for me, because I tend to overwork things. And when you're working in a time limited manner like this, there's no chance to overwork it. And then you can pull from that and say, ooh, what did I like? Maybe I like a wonky eye. Maybe I like a hand that isn't fully rendered. Maybe I like having part of this obscured in. Maybe I like a drip, which I don't typically, but you know, you won't know unless you try these things. So I do hope that you will give this a try. and see what happens in your own. And obviously you can work on paper or whatever, so it doesn't have to be in an art journal. But anyway, I would definitely suggest giving it a try if this is something, if you're trying to loosen up and become a little bit more expressive. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I kind of blundered through and tried to do something maybe a little more complicated than I should have. But then I got to thinking, could I just have deleted this whole video and just created a new one that was better? And I probably could have. But I thought this is the real art making, right? This is the real process that you go through. Sometimes you use raw umber and you should have used a lighter brown, or a completely different color. Sometimes you spray too much water on and your image or your contour sketch doesn't turn out exactly how you want it. That is the real art making. That is the real life about it. It's so much about experimentation and just trying until you get to something that you like. So I do hope that you give the contour sketch a try. I hope I showed it in a way that didn't make it look like a complete fail, but that it's something that could be helpful, and that you could give a try for yourself and just loosen up and hone in on some of those skills that you want to develop. And for me, being expressive is a skill. I don't know if it's a skill, but it's something I want to become more of. And I find that doing this really has helped that. So one last minute thing. Hey, yay, you guys. This is so exciting. I can't even believe it. When I started this channel, never in a million years did I think it was going to grow, let alone eventually hit 10,000 subscribers. That is just insane. That is crazy, and I can't believe it. And I'm super thankful to each and every one of you guys who subscribes, but just more watches, and then those sweet comments that you guys make. It's so amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you. So as I promised about 4 or 5 months ago, or I can't remember, I'd said when I get to 10,000, I'm going to do a YouTube live and I'm going to do giveaways, and I am going to do one coming up. So be watching for that in the comments section. It's going to be in March, probably in 2 or 3 weeks. Now, for those of you who are unable to actually make the YouTube live event, it'll probably be on a Friday afternoon. I will have something that you can comment, and I'll pick one person that I'll send something to from there, or I'll have someone else randomly pick, or I'm not really sure, but I will make a way for those of you who can't actually attend to have a chance to also win something, because I want to give some giveaways. I want to say thank you in a really tangible way. It's one thing to say thank you like this, but it's another thing for me to say, hey, I want to send you a little something, and I want to show that I really do appreciate you guys supporting me and watching, and just everything that this channel has been such an encouragement to me to encourage you. I guess it's a mutual encouragement. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.